time is up. Before I wrap the gavel to officially start our plenary, I just want to say that the journey for us started in 1935. There was much to do then, and in some ways there is even more to do now. We heard the word this morning. I appreciate each and every one of you. Somebody asked me if I was going to make a speech. I said, no, I have speeched out. But I do want to thank you for all of your outpouring and thanks all along the way, especially last night. I don't like to cry, but I did last night. I was somewhat overwhelmed, but when Thelma Daly took the mic, I said, Ingrid, just breathe through it. Thelma's in charge. I looked at Alexis Herman, she looked down. I looked at Pat Lattimore, she looked down. I looked at Paulette Norvell Lewis, she acted like she didn't know me. So I just gave in to Dr. Thelma Daly. And I appreciate you organizing what was really something that was so meaningful to me. And let's give her a round of applause. Now, one of the things that I have done, before I thank you for the gifts, is I have been returning people's phones, wallets, and all such as that. Drenda Henry, are you in the house?
She's from Indianapolis.
Drenda, come on up here. Raise your hand. I can't see back there. Come on. She can't show me her ID because I have. She wouldn't be able to get on the plane. Phones and wallets. Come on up, we want to see you up on stage. Let's hear it for Drenda Henry. I'm going to check her name tag. That's it. Now see, you starting something else. I want to thank you for all of your gifts. Thank the Dorothy Irene Height Foundation very much. I'm wearing my charm bracelet. I will cherish all of the gifts. I want to shine a light on our staff. I don't know where Janice Mathis is. I've been looking for her for the last 2 hours. And there she is right there. Always trying to be invisible. Afraid I'm going to say something else. She said, I'm almost through with her. Janice Mathis, David Glenn, Michelle Holder, stand up. Cynthia Wheeler, Sonia Green. Anybody else in the house? I call Michelle up. She's probably doing something. Regina, I had a little special time for her.
Celeste McCoy.
Celeste, are you here? Regina, please stand up. Regina makes sure I get where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be there, with what I'm supposed to have. And I thank you very much. Is Celeste in the house?
She was outside.
Celeste is our Comcast telecommunications fellow provided to us by Comcast, and we are thankful to them. All of them have a passion for the National Council of Negro Women, and I thank them for their service, as I thank all of you. Dr. Cole, there have been a lot of promises made. I'm going to try to write them down, but the one that was made most recently was from Swing Fi Swing. They said they were going to up their game. So ladies, there she is, there she is. So let's document that. Pat Lattimore, I hope I remember to do what you told me to do, but keep me honest. The third plenary session of the 58th Biennial Convention of the National Council of Negro Women will come to order. The first item of business is the third report of the Credentials Committee. And for that, I ask Pat Lattimore to join us on the stage.
The third Credentials Report. National Officers 21, Standing Committee Members 6, National Affiliates 59 members present, representing 22 affiliates, 244 sections, 146 life members, 41 legacy members, total voting delegates 516, associate life 1, youth attendees 2, guests 118, exhibitor companies 15, for a grand total of 652.
She's supposed to talk a little bit longer.
Thank you for receiving the Credentials Report. I now am switching from Credentials hat to Elections Committee hat. And I want to say that due to the excellent slate work of our nominating committee and the unanimity of thought and purpose of this august body, we witnessed something that I don't recall in NCNW recent history, which was the total acceptance of the slate report presented to you. Total acceptance of the slate. Our chair will handle that from that point forward, but I do want you to give a round of applause to those folks who volunteered to be candidates and serve on the elections committee that prepared for an election that you did not need. Madam Chair, I yield the mic back to you.
And I want to put a point of emphasis on this because it really is illustrative of how wonderful a convention we have had. This is a unity convention, and we have moved with unity, and that is a wonderful thing, and it is an enviable thing as I talk to other heads of organizations. So once again, give yourselves a round of applause. We have to acknowledge when we rise to the occasion. I think it could be a little loud. And so, the Honorable Patricia Lattimore, given that all candidates slated were elected by affirmation, no election was required, as she said. I thereby certify the following as our duly elected officers for the next biennial and then you will be called up, but this is just a recitation of the list. Chair, Janetta Bates Cole. Vice Chair, Thelma T. Daly. Vice Chair, Helena Johnson. Vice Chair, Lois Key. Young Adult Chair, Shara Denton. Recording Secretary, Courtney Lattimore. Assistant Secretary, Sandra Young. Treasurer, Beverly Beavers Brooks. Member at Large, Brenda Anderson. It was her big fat wallet that I found last night. Member at Large, Linda Bagley. Member at Large, Ariana Brazier. Member at Large, Sandra Gibson. Member at Large, Regina Majors. Member at Large, Marilyn Powell Godette. Member at Large, Olivia Smith. We also elected our nominating committee, and I will read their names in succession. E. Tanya Greenwood, Letitia Hazel, Victoria Juice, Doris Settle Maxwell, Rose McKay, Lauren Poteet, Carolyn Tibbs. That, ladies, is your executive committee and your nominating committee for the next 2-year period for the National Council of Negro Women. And now, you want to give a big round of applause for all of them? And now we prepare for our swearing-in ceremony, and we call on, and we are so blessed that our senior advisor, who is the president of the Dorothy Irene Height Foundation, is always here as a former constitutional officer of the United States, the former Secretary of Labor, the only former Secretary of Labor that I know, is always here to swear us in. I turn it over to you, Alexis Herman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Giving all praise and glory to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who enabled all of us to be here this morning for this historic occasion.
True, true.
I greet the family of the National Council of Negro Women for this historic moment. As we proceed for the traditional swearing in of our newly elected officers, I always remind this body of the words of our founder, Mary Cloud Finn, when she said that we in NCNW we must always remember to lift as we climb and to make sure that we keep open the doors wide for others that must walk through them. And so as I call forward the officers for 2018, who will continue, in the words of Dorothy Irene Height, to open even wider the freedom gates. We will proceed first with the installation of our chair. I would then ask that the officers would proceed to the stage, and you will be sworn in as a group. After the officers, we will then install the members at large. And following the installation of the members at large, I would ask that the members of the nominating committee, that you would file in front of the stage, and I will come down to the floor to swear you in. But first, I want to again express my heartfelt appreciation and love and support for Ingrid Saunders Jones. She answered the call. Here I am, Lord, send me. And she stepped forward to continue this journey. I now invite her to bring forward the new chair to be installed.
Thank you so much, Alexis Herman. There is one thing I'm going to ask each of you to do, and that is, and I don't want you to do it now. You hear that? I want you to Google Janetta Cole. And then get ready. Spend about an hour. So the hour's going to go past very, very fast. Because Janetta Cole has spent her life teaching, advocating, and serving her community and our world with distinction. She attended Fisk University as an early entrance student. She then went on to Oberlin College to receive her undergraduate degree. Her master's and her PhD in anthropology with a specialization in African American studies was received at Northwestern University. Now, I'm not going to recite her bio. It's this long. But I do want you to know that she is not here by happenstance, and I know you all know that. But she goes deep with the National Council of Negro Women. Now, you know her as the president of Spelman College. You know her as the president of Bennett College. She is singularly the only person who has led those two distinguished all-women colleges for African Americans. Can you imagine the number of young women she has influenced? We heard some hands going up around here. We heard a Spelmanite, Ariana Brazier, last night, who benefited from Janetta Cole's service. So the deep dive, though, on her connection is that Janetta Cole knew, deeply respected, and was mentored by Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune.
Lord have mercy.
Dr. Bethune and her great-grandfather, Abraham Lincoln Lewis, one of the founders of the African American Life Insurance Company and Florida's first black millionaire. They were very close friends. Dr. Bethune gave the eulogy at her great-grandfather's funeral. Janetta's mother was a close friend of two women on the faculty at Bethune-Cookman College, and on frequent trips to Daytona Beach to visit those friends, Janetta and her sister would go as well. During those trips, whenever she was available, Dr. Bethune would have Janetta and her sister visit her. Janetta says that her own life has been deeply influenced by the counsel of Dr. Bethune, that Dr. Bethune gave her about the importance of education and being of service to others. Last night in our video, we saw many pictures of Dr. Cole with Dorothy Irene Height. So her relationship with the National Council of Negro Women is a deep and intentional and purposeful one. And that is why we nominated and you affirmed Dr. Janetta Cole to be the next chair of the board, of the executive committee, and president of the board of the National Council of Negro Women. And it is my honor to bring her to this stage to be sworn in. Dr. Cole, if you would repeat your name and say after me. I,
Janetta Vetch Cole.
That you are an elected officer now of the National Council of Negro Women.
that I am now an elected officer of the National Council of Negro Women.
That I solemnly swear to uphold the bylaws of NCNW.
That I solemnly swear to uphold the bylaws of NCNW.
That I swear to perform my duties to the best of my ability.
That I swear to perform my duties to the best of my ability.
That I will further the purpose of NCNW.
That I will further the purpose of NCNW.
And I will advance the interest of our community.
And I will advance the interest of our community.
I promise to conduct myself in a manner befitting the National Council of Negro Women.
I promise to conduct myself in a manner befitting the National Council of Negro Women.
I take this pledge freely and without mental reservation.
I take this pledge freely and without mental reservation.
I take it also with purpose.
I take it also with purpose.
And no evasion.
And no evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Madam Chair, congratulations.
All right.
He's gonna duct tape.
Yeah, he's not a...
My dearest sisters all, my dearest sisters all, and the few but righteous brothers who are in this room with us, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
At this moment, when I have the exceptional honor of beginning my service as the chair of our beloved National Council of Negro Women, I'm thinking of an African proverb. It comes from the Swahili coast of that great nation. And as I look out at many of you, my sisters, so extraordinarily adorned in the clothing of that continent, I can only remind you and myself that we have come from that continent, that it is the cradle of humanity. And I'm fond of saying the sooner white folk realize that they're Africans too, the better the world's going to be. Now, as the folks in my black church, more properly pronounced church, in Jacksonville, Florida, these folk who grew me up would say, as the initial words to express joy or gratitude, my. I say that now to return to the African proverb from the Swahili coast. It says, it does no harm to be grateful. It does no harm. Well, my gratitude for this honor to serve as the 7th president of this organization is just overflowing. An organization an organization of the multiple, diverse, countless voices of black women, founded in 1935 by the amazing and grace-filled Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. Today, as I accept the mantle of leadership from our sister leader, and you should know that I didn't begin calling Ingrid Saunders Jones sister leader when she assumed the position she has carried out so brilliantly here at NCNW. I have called her that for years, and I have no intention of ceasing to call her that. She is a sister leader. I'm also recalling that at a time when our hearts were so heavy because our Dr. Dorothy Irene Height had gone to glory, the good Dr. Barbara Shaw accepted the charge to be at the helm of NCNW. Now, my sisters, what Ingrid Saunders Jones has accomplished during the years of her chairship, what she has accomplished is truly remarkable. In fact, she has accomplished so much that I want to share with all of you an Ethiopian proverb that I think really captures the work of the sister leader. The Ethiopian proverb says, when women lead, streams run up hill. In short, a leader such as Ingrid, our sister, will make the impossible, with the help of the good Lord, possible. So what in the world made me think that I should ask for the privilege of carrying on the tradition of sterling leadership at the National Council of Negro Women Incorporated? Here are the two reasons why. First, because I could not turn away from an opportunity to work more intensely in an organization whose founder, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, I knew and was so deeply influenced by. And humbly, but definitively, I feel called to do my best, to do what Dr. Dorothy Irene Height taught and demonstrated is the proper work of a servant leader. The second reason that I dare to imagine that I might be an effective chair of this mighty organization of organizations is that in every leadership role that I have been blessed to hold, I have experienced what can be accomplished by working collaboratively with my colleagues. Now, there's an African proverb that puts it this way. When spider webs unite, They can even tie up a lion. There's another African proverb that you are seeing often now through social media. It is filled with truth. Truth. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so as I move into the work of the National Council of Negro Women, work we are all called to do, I'm fully conscious that we are living in deeply troubled and troubling times. Here in our nation and indeed around the world, we are witnessing, and we as black women are being victimized by the words and actions of some people who feel emboldened to more openly express and carry out their racism, their sexism, their heterosexism, indeed all of their forms of bigotry and hatred. But let us, in the National Council of Negro Women, walk together, work together, pray together, organize together, and not get weary. For as Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune once said, if we have the courage and tenacity of our forebears, who stood firmly like a rock against the lash of slavery, we shall find a way to do for our day what they did for theirs. My sisters all, as I begin the particular work of the chair of our National Council of Negro Women, hear me when I say that I will do all in my power to honor the promises I made on my campaign flyer. I promise to steward the legacy of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune and Dr. Dorothy Irene Height. I promise that when issues about social justice are on the table at national convenings, I will ensure that ncnw has a seat at that table. And drawing on my years of experience as the president of both of our historically black colleges for women, I will work with all of you to help to prepare the next generation of black women leaders so that NCNW can continue to be an influential power in our ongoing struggle for equality. So now, my dear NCNW sisters, I want to bring closure on these remarks by telling a story. It is said to be a true story. There was a gathering of women, white women, during that era when women were still marching and calling for and protesting for the fundamental right to vote. But in such a gathering that I'm describing, there was one black woman. Her name was Sojourner Truth. And so as the women debated how best to move forward to gain the right to vote, a man came into their meeting. And each time a woman would make the compelling case for the right to vote, from the back of the room he would scream out, "You women, you can't have as many rights as men, because Christ was a man." The women did their best to ignore him. You know, that's what we women do. We try to ignore stupid. But he persisted. Finally, they had one black woman that had it. And she came from where she was seated to the front of that gathering, standing in the fullness of her tall, strong, black presence and midnight skin. She said, "That little man, that little man back there, he said we women can't have as many rights as men because Christ was a man." But I want to ask that little man, where'd your Christ come from? Where'd your Christ come from? Come from God and a woman. Man, it had nothing to do with it. And besides, said Sojourner Truth, if one day in a garden, one woman could turn the world upside down, seems to me all these women in here can get it right side up again. So, my dearest sisters of the National Council of Negro Women, God willing, I am so ready to work with you in the interest of getting this world right side up again.